Today's 20-year conversation for Javin Wealth, I'm joined by my good friend Kenneth Locke, my old riding buddy from years gone by. And we're going to talk about collectibles. For the very reason, when I first met Kenneth, I noticed his bike. It was impressive. But what was more impressive, when you was talking to Kenneth about his bike, he knew every detail of every part. And therein I found a collector with a passion. So that's what we're going to talk about, the passion of collecting rather than what he's collected today. So welcome, Kenneth.
Thank you for having me.
So can I ask the obvious question? What got you started, or were you just born that way?
Okay, so the easiest way I could put it was when I was a kid, my dad did a lot of, this is in the 80s, early 80s, my dad did a lot of exporting stuff out of Japan. So he would buy for me all these toys, like robots and stuff, and all these, which I found out much later, turned out to be like Gundams and all that, which are highly sought after toys right now. And I think one of the things from my childhood was, I always get told off by my mom not to make a mess from playing my toys. So I would always put it back in the box, like how it was packaged, and put it away. And over the years, I think, that's how I bought my toys and how I kept my toys. So they were quite in good condition. I wasn't very rough with my toys because I knew how precious it was to get these toys, because it's not like you could go to like a Toys R Us here in Singapore to get one. And basically I was the only kid in school that had these kind of toys. So, it felt precious to me. So I took a little bit of extra care on them. And I think that's how, that habit of, looking after your things and all that came from. And ironically, that first toy that my dad bought for me was a Gundam RX-78, the very first model playable Gundam robot. It's still with me till today.
Yeah.
Although the color is a bit faded, and we'll come to that later.
Yeah.
But the condition of the toy itself, it's still all workable. Just that the color is a bit, faded because of UV lights and all that, which I learned much later on from other collections how to combat with that.
Yeah, we've had that conversation.
Let me just adjust your mic a little. So, if possible, try to project a little into your mic.
All right.
Actually, that is a burning question generally, is what value do you place on your collectibles? It's obviously not a money thing.
Well, it's probably sentimental because like what I said, the first couple of toys that my dad bought back from Japan, well, we're talking about early 80s. You're not talking about fantastic baggage handling, and so he would actually hand carry all these toys back for me. And we're not talking about small boxes. We're talking about relatively large boxes and of the toys. So you actually hand carry them back. So it gave me that sentimental nostalgia about it. Like, oh, my dad took so much effort to bring it back. I probably better take good care of it, and that's how it goes.
Okay. And the question is, what about your kids? Have they got those sort of habits, do you feel?
Well, my daughter is only 9. The things that it's quite obvious. The things that she posts value on, like the things that I bought for her, like before she was born. I was in New Zealand. She's born in the year of the sheep, and New Zealand, or when the sheep shearing farms and all that. And I actually bought her this stuffed toy of a sheep, which she actually treasures very much because when she was born, that was the first stuffed toy she saw. And as long as we travel, she brings it along. But she tries to take really good care of that sheep. And the other stuffed toys that I buy for her, she will see him flinging it around the house. But she takes special attention to that one. Okay. So there are certain toys that I've bought for her, and you can tell that she actually takes a little bit more special attention to them. Things like Lego, for example. You know, the standard Lego sets that I buy for her, she'll just play with them until it becomes a huge mess. But the more treasured ones, it's like the Disney castles. She actually left them in pristine condition. So yeah, I think she's picking up somewhere.
And I know that over the time the toys got bigger. Fair comment?
Unfortunately, the toys got bigger and a little bit more expensive.
Yeah. So, okay. So what are you going to do with them when you're not here?
I've actually willed them to my daughter
Okay.
because there's no desire in me to want to sell these at the moment, because like I said, my entire collection is not like I specifically went out to buy something. It's not like I'm an art collector where I go, oh, that's a very nice artwork, I see it in Christie's on auction, I must have it. These are my collection actually stopped when I let's say like comics, for example. Now I've stopped buying comics for probably a good 15 years now. So whatever I have in my collection was what I bought in primary school and secondary school. That was during the era where, you know, my parents give me pocket allowance to buy food in school, and I go, I think I won't eat this so that I can buy that comic, and kind of thing. So, like I said, most of the things that I have in my collection it ties me back to a certain point in my life, and I can more or less remember like each comic or each toy that I bought, when and almost where I bought it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It made me think about the things that I've collected, and yeah, none of them I actually ever thought about selling, and still don't. They're there for a reason, and no, the idea of selling them for money is just not really interesting, to be honest.
Although I get told off that I'm a hoarder, so there's a difference between hoarding and collecting.
Yeah, have you got to find that balance in the house?
Unfortunately, it's a very fine line.
Yeah, indeed. We sort of, I'm just going randomly with the questions as they come, and you know, the world's shifted. I know you collected cards and various things. Now we're in this world of digital assets. Are NFTs a thing?
I would say to certain groups of people, NFTs are a thing. But like what I spoke with you earlier, you know, when we talk about the big NFTs, like the ones that Justin Bieber bought, and unfortunately for him, it became valueless 1 or 2 years later. But there's still companies that are looking into, you know, building NFTs and stuff. I mean, like, I bought a smartwatch, and this smartwatch, I can actually showcase my NFTs as the watch face. Unfortunately, I have none. I still don't really buy into the whole NFT kind of thing, because at the end of the day, it's something that's digital. It's a little bit hard when you're talking about, you know, all the collections that I have, they're all something more tangible where I can see, feel, and touch it. And something like a digital token, a little bit on the fence.
Yeah.
But maybe that would change when, you know, it gains a little bit more popularity, which it may.
Okay. I know your computer background, and so early days mining coins was an obvious thing for you. How do you feel about your coins? Like, are they something that you just keep, or I mean, clearly it's doing quite a good job in value collection keeping now, but are you emotionally attached to any of those?
Not really, because, you know, when Bitcoin first came out, my friends and I mean, we all play computer games together, and let me rewind before that. Years before even Bitcoin started, there was this community movement by UC Berkeley for SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. So amongst my friends, when we built our own computers, we were trying to brag about how fast we could overclock our computers and how good our processing speeds were. So we will actually download these packets from SETI, from UC Berkeley for SETI, and we'll try to run and calculate those packets as faster than any one of our friends. So we were like challenging, like, okay, yeah, my computer is more powerful, my processing is faster than yours, I can process X number of packets per hour, you can't. So the same thing kind of went for when Bitcoin first came out. The idea was, back then the coins were not even valued much. And the idea was just to, compete with each other, like, oh, I can do it faster than you, haha, kind of thing. And we mined the coins and we just left it, sitting in an email account for years, because back then it was no value. And once the game was, that went on for a couple of months, and once we're done, we're like, okay, let's move on to doing something else stupider or something.
Yeah. As a form of investment, obviously in our business we don't see it quite the same, but it must be very different from someone who started way back then to see this whole evolution.
Yeah, when we started mining Bitcoin, we never even thought of the fact that, oh, Bitcoin is going to be worth that much money today. We were just doing it for just the sake of challenging each other. Like, okay, I can, my rig can do it faster than yours, so on and so forth. We didn't even bother about how much electricity we are using. I mean, what we were more concerned about is, how much heat there is coming out from my PC. Oh, good grief, I think I can toast marshmallows on my PC kind of thing. And that's what we did. And we were tinkering around to the fact that we built our own water-cooled systems for our own PCs just to, maintain the heat from the processors and all that. So it was more like I said, we were challenging each other, and we never knew that Bitcoin would have reached this peak of an insane amount of money. So it's a bit of dumb luck.
Yeah, fair enough. Just to bring us back into the real world, I know you've said it before, like it is obviously challenging just to preserve collections in terms of, that's a big task. I take it something you've got to be thinking about and planning for.
So let's say like for comics, okay, so the few things that I collect, toys, comics, Magic the Gathering cards, the old vinyls, and I bought vinyls because I didn't really like the sound of compact discs. And, I started out with cassette tapes. And when you put a vinyl record on, the sound is just so crisp and clear. So I started buying vinyls instead. And when I started collecting vinyls, I started realizing that, hey, the color print on the album cover, the color starts to fade after a couple of months because, due to direct sunlight, due to UV and all that. And at the same time, I was buying comics, and they came with this backing which helps with mold and stuff. And I started asking the shops, like, what's happening? And they just go, oh, because of the UV damage and all that, direct sunlight damage. So, you try to keep anything that's printed in either behind a UV protection or just in complete darkness. That's your only couple of choices. Singapore, what I did was a test once to prove how bad our UV rays are in Singapore. I bought I play with RC cars just for fun. And I bought I left 2 boxes by the sun, one stacked on top of the other. The one that was on top completely faded out its colors in about 3.5 months. But if I were to lift that up and show the other box below, that's still like day one from the shop. So that just lets you know how bad our UV damage can actually damage the prints and the inks that are on the print.
And just on that general thematic, you either adapt your home or you've got to use outsource places to store things that are precious.
So what I did was back then I didn't really have this. I mean, I think it was a good thing that, my first apartment, I didn't have that kind of space to so-called build displays. So I just kept them in boxes. I kept them in the cupboard, so they never saw sunlight. I mean, of course, the more precious comics which I got graded, they get sealed. Those I really just leave them in the dark.
Yeah.
I try not to display them because I know how damaging the sun can be.
I found that fascinating. You were telling me about the grading process. It's quite a long time from what you were saying. It's done in America, correct?
Yes, it's done in America.
Yeah.
There are a couple of companies that do it depending on what kind of collections you have, like whether it's a toy, whether it's a comic, or whether it's Magic the Gathering cards. There are different companies that do it. Over the years, it's gotten a lot. Their backlog has gotten quite long. I think at the current time now for Magic the Gathering, if you want to get a card graded, it's anywhere from, I think, 8 months to slightly over a year.
Wow.
So, I mean, Magic the Gathering, yeah. Comics, I think, I haven't graded a comic in years, so I'm not too sure. But I know they're all quite pretty much backlogged.
I guess I'm not part of the world of collectors. Are there places in Singapore, like physical places that are gathering points for collectors of physical things?
Okay.
Whether it be a shop or a museum.
Depends on what you're collecting. Unfortunately, in Singapore, comics, all these kind of comic shops have kind of died off. At the end of the day, you must understand that Singapore is a rent-seeking economy, and the survivability of such shops where the overheads are too high just doesn't make sense. Magic the Gathering, you'll find them in hobby shops. The same hobby shops they'll sell games like Warhammer, which is an old tabletop game, and a few other shops. I mean, you could find like the Japanese versions of comic shops, like the mangas. The biggest one used to be was Comics Connection. They're all around Singapore, and they used to sell Magic the Gathering cards, Pokemon cards, and whatever else there was out there in the market back then. But I think in the last 10 years, they all have just hoarded up because, like I said, unfortunately, the rental is a little bit too much of an overhead for them, I think.
Yeah. I discovered, you talk about Pokemon, I discovered my eldest son was a trader at about 5, he's still a trader today at 35, at about 5 years old. He was going to school and sometimes saw his kids in tears because he's traded too well with his Pokemon cards. So he's progressed to rather large, most of his trading's done in bulk-sized ships nowadays, but yeah, there's traders and there's collectors. I don't think they're necessarily the same people. Would that be true?
I never particularly traded. Like I played Magic the Gathering and I played it since the alpha deck. I've never particularly traded any of the cards. Like I have friends who go, "Oh, do you have this card? I'm willing to trade you X number of cards." I never did the trading thing. Even how badly I wanted a particular card, I would leave it to gamble, where I would buy the whole box of booster cards and go, I hope I get it somewhere in there. And then I went up with a whole bunch of like extra cards that I already have. And I think one of the things is like, I like seeing a collection that gets built up over the years.
Yeah.
So I just kept collecting the cards and just kept stacking cards, and I still have the cards. I've been playing Magic since the alpha deck, so like 92, 91, somewhere around there. I'm still playing it till today.
That's pretty cool. Actually, you told me a long time ago, one of the fascinating things is coins, Singapore coins.
Yes.
You pretty much have a lot from what you told me.
So what my dad does is every year Chinese New Year, he will go to the Singapore Mint and buy every single possible coin that they release that year, and he'll just give it to me and to my brother as well. And we just been collecting it for so many years, and like, oh wow, what am I going to do with all these coins? And you realize that over the years, it gets a little bit more. It goes up in value. So I don't really collect coins and notes, but I chanced upon actually this was really ironic. I think it was 2015. I went out and I wanted to buy something, and I got back in change a very old Singapore orchid note. I was like, whoa. I mean, the condition of it wasn't the most fantastic, but it was something. And I thought, oh, I've got the ship series, because when they were going to discontinue the old ship series, I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to keep that. So I did manage to keep the ship series. The current one is still ongoing, so I only got the nicer ones. Then there was the bird and the orchids.
Wow.
If you're going backwards. So I've got a couple of notes from the bird series, and I've got 1 or 2 orchid ones. And when I go on like Facebook and I join these groups and all that, some of these notes, the prices that they're selling, it's more than double of what the actual face value of the notes are. I mean, granted that the condition is not fantastic. The better the condition, the more valuable it is.
Wow.
That's why you send stuff for grading.
Yeah.
And then once it's graded, it's sealed. You can't, the condition can't really change much except under the UV light. And like I said, the higher the condition, the more valuable it is. So if you have a toy and all that, this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
There are some people who go, should we restore the toy or leave it as it is?
Yeah. I can see
And
that.
I've seen enough arguments on two ends of it. And then there's one group, the purists, that go, don't touch it. They will live with the condition that it is in. I mean, like the faded colors and all that. And there's one group that goes, we must restore it. So I'm on the fence. I just leave mine as it is.
Yeah, I'm probably down that route. Well, we've just about come to the end, Kenneth. We're filming this in Cafe Ciclo in Changi Village because we're sitting in a beautiful collection of antique bikes. It's quite something. But just, you got a parting comment for anyone that wants to start collecting? What's the most important thing they should think about long term?
Have the space.
Space.
I think it's more of a storage space kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where you can store your collections properly. The collections that I have are very dependent on condition, whether they are mint condition and all that. So you have the space. If you're really very serious about it, have it graded. So if it's like a card, it's a comic, or it could be even a toy, get it graded. So at least you know that what the grading value is equates to what the market value, which can fluctuate, of it would be.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Kenneth. And so wishing you well for the next 20 years.
Thank you so much.